Just some sharing from Sabah, particularly the Penampang seat, where it's the only seat won by PKR in Sabah, and everybody's, they want to know more what's happening in Sabah, where the women are during the elections and after. Now, we all know Sabah is very dynamic in terms of the political movement and all that. So many political parties and a lot of political awareness in Malaysia. Now, so where are the women? What is the impact on the women? One thing for sure, definitely the women have a lot of experience in terms of making major changes to their government. We have changed the state government 3 times, so they have vast experience in change. Yeah. So, like for me, I'm very lucky to have a mom who's participated actively in politics and changed the government twice, back in the 70s and then in the 80s. Now, with that kind of experience, with her vast experience in organizing political campaigns and even gatherings and how to get the women to work, we've heard, growing up hearing stories from my mother, how she managed to organize women group and how they managed to support the political movement in Sabah, particularly in Penampang. Basically, when I joined in, I came back to Malaysia in 2010, and I was appointed as one of the committee members in PKR Penampang. And then we went through a bit of a crisis in our division in Penampang, where the former Wanita Chief left the party, and together with her, she brought quite a big number of women, and that crisis was a wake-up call for the women. And the then Chalon, the chief of Penampang, PKR, Darul Lighting, now our MP, was overseas and immediately called for a meeting and appointed me. That was in February, and elections was in April. So with that short period of time, we managed to organize a big group of women, and it helps. One of the things that I particularly requested for was to have a senior woman to be an advisor for the women division. So we've got a spectrum of a 74-year-old advisor for the women and a secretary who is 24 years old, who's very good with technology and all that. So we practically covered all grounds, and having the more veteran women to come in as an advisor. They have their own group and they have their own way of campaigning, and they know how to reach out to that group of people. For the young women, of course, with the secretary who is 24 years old, sending SMSs, posting things on Facebook. So that's, that we covered the wide spectrum. And the other thing we did, we even have a special prayer, Penampang being more majority Christian Catholics, and we actually did prayers especially for the sacrifice of women joining the political movement, a special petition for that, and that really helped in our movement. That I was told off actually one time when I wanted to start our program with a prayer, and one of the men came up to me and said, "Why are you mixing politics with religion?" And that was really, mind-blowing. And when I shared with other people, other men, thank God, they are actually happy with what we had to do. We have to do something different. Okay. The other thing that the Penampang division did that was different from the other constituency was the women were not only holding the traditional food and drink section during the campaign. No. They appointed myself as the Ketua Wanita to become the Deputy Director of the election machinery. So having a woman on the second, well, actually I was at par with the director. They really, really acknowledge that the women not only to organize the food and drinks and all that, but they also organize in making decisions on where do we go next, the campaign, how do we do this, and etc. Now, we also have a group of veteran, as I said, veteran women going on their own to go to villages to campaign for the party, campaign for the two candidates that we have in PKR. So what I recommend is, as we already mentioned earlier, that the women really actually have to go through to join a political party, right? My background is also, we did some work with the NGO and all that, but I think in order to make an impact, to be seen as a potential candidate, it's not just candidate, but actually to be part of this whole movement, women will have to join political parties. That's what I recommend. I think, how am I doing with time, honey?
Plenty.
Plenty, okay. Now, one of the other things that I would appreciate was that quite a number of people in our group, they're actually husband and wife working together, and every time we have a gathering or just have a short meeting, I always remind the spouse or the partner of the person to appreciate what the women are doing and to let them go, not just the wife, but also their daughters. So we've got fathers who've got 22, 23-year-old daughters who are actually encouraged by their fathers to go and join us. And we even had a former Unduk Ngada. Unduk Ngada is the traditional harvest festival queen who went on board to join us in, although she cannot vote yet, but she was already there and interviewed on the newspaper and saying that, yeah, you know, I'm fighting for my future. This is what I have to do. It's not just being a beauty queen, but also with that kind of empowerment. Dia sudah sedar, ya, they're already thinking about the future and talking about what can be done. It's not just being a beauty queen. We basically took everybody in. And I think that's the reason for the landslide win in Penampang, taking into account that we actually were against a very strong, respected candidate from the end, yeah, the former MP. So with that, I think I've shared enough. So we have plenty of good stuff. Points from other speakers. Thank you. Over to you, Rani.